Oh, we're back today after a very busy week in the ClassForKids office. I'm just going to open my water, right?
This is turning into an ASMR pod.
ASMR.
Is that what it's called? ASMR? Yeah, ASMR podcast.
Right, yep. But yeah, very busy week.
Welcome.
Oh, creepy.
Yeah, it was a very busy week. And of course, Friday was exceptional.
It was indeed. We had guests come into the office to take part in our lovely podcast, but also get involved in all the hijinks here at the ClassForKids studio, we'll call it.
Yeah, the studio. And of course, it was Friday. Now, if you're a regular listener to the podcast, you'll know what stand-up means. If you're new here, it's basically the time of week where everybody in the company comes together at the end of the working day on a Friday, has a little drink, we hear some updates on the company, and maybe there's some sort of game, fun, interactive thing.
And then a few drinks afterwards, let's not forget that.
Let's not forget the drinks afterwards. But this Friday, I have to say, has probably been one of my favourite stand-ups of late.
Yeah, definitely like the best in the last year, I would say. And I think what made it so good is that we didn't actually all know it was going to happen until the day of.
No, and literally until the second we were sitting around the breakfast bar in the kitchen, and I heard tables being moved, and of course our lovely guests were a cheer and dance company. And I was thinking, why are these chairs getting moved?
And why were the chairs getting moved?
Well, we were split into two groups, and one of the groups did a cheer performance, so they did a well choreographed cheer routine, and then my group, and you were in the cheer squad.
Oh, I don't have my pom-poms.
And I was in the dance squad, and we kind of...
Cheer squad were much better.
They weren't at... Do you know what? The cheer squad was very good, but I stand by my dance squad. I can't say that we weren't very good.
We done the whole like building up thing. Like I had to go on my knees, and then somebody crawled up on top of me, and they were like giving it all with the whoo and the pom-poms.
I mean, it was very admirable, very good, but do you know what? I can't. And to be honest, Johnny was the leader of our dance squad.
You know what? We've got videos of both of these. I think we should put them up on social.
Oh, they'll be going up on social.
People can decide themselves.
But I'm giving a shout out to Johnny, who is part of our business development representatives. He was an amazing dancer at the front of the squad. He got right in the middle of it. I mean, I'm not saying his dance moves were exceptional, but his dedication to the sport was.
Okay, so what you're saying is he was a bad dancer, but he gave it a go.
Hi, Johnny, if you're listening, you are not a
Johnny.
bad dancer. You're very good.
So yes, we had a cheer company, and we've never met a cheer company.
No, I mean, we have some that use the ClassForKids system, but this was the first time we had a cheer company in the office and visit us in Glasgow. And my goodness, Jane and Vanessa were certainly a force to be reckoned with.
Coach Jane.
And Vanessa, they are a mother-daughter duo, and they are a force to be reckoned with in that cheer space.
Very unusual for us to record a podcast after stand-up. In fact, the podcasts are usually done sometime midweek and certainly earlier in the day.
Yeah, if it's a guest comes in on a Friday, it's normally very early in the morning. It's probably one of the first things we do. Nice way to get to know them, sit down and chat, and then of course the energy's there at stand-up. But Coach Jane and Vanessa had energy right throughout the time they were with us.
They had energy in buckets.
Buckets?
Do people say that? Is that something?
I don't know if that's a commonly used phrase. Certainly not where I'm from. Well, actually, bucket loads of maybe.
Bucket loads of energy.
Yeah, okay.
That's the way I should have put it.
Yeah.
Bucket loads of energy. Yeah, they had bucket loads of energy, really spilled onto us. We came straight in here after stand-up and recorded the podcast that you're about to both hear and see if you're
we are so excited about this video podcast. Yeah. And in fact, I've been seeing on TikTok recently that people aren't even saying podcast anymore, they're saying pod. So in the club pod.
Okay, is that down with the kids?
Well, I think so, but I can't confirm because, you know, I am...
Is that your vibe?
I am getting older, Stephen.
You are actually in front of me. She's been ageing rapidly for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, you know, what can I say? I'm looking at the camera directly. Help me because I have to work with Stephen every day.
Hello, people that like to watch pods. If you ain't vibing, turn off now. Why not? Yeah, nope, don't do that. Okay, still got you? They're still here.
Woo!
Let's go into the
podcast and see what Coach Jane and Vanessa have to say about their business. Here is Coach Jane and Vanessa from Tycoon Allstars. In the podcasting seat, we have Jane and Vanessa from Tycoon Allstars. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
In sync. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourselves? You are the co-founders of Tycoon Allstars Cheerleading. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the club?
Well, we've been going 17 years for Tycoon Allstars, and we started as a community project. I used to work for the local council doing sports dance development, and they wanted cheer on the agenda. So I started off and I did a local schools competition, and I went into schools delivering cheer and dance. And then it evolved, and then into about 4 years in, I made a really grown-up decision on the fact that we went to this competition and weren't sure what to do, whether to leave my job or to, go full-time into the cheer and dance industry. And I said, if we win, I will set up and leave my job. And if I lose, I'll carry on in the job. And we won.
And
so
the rest
we
is
are
history.
here today. Yeah,
the
so
rest
we're here
is
today.
history.
That's it.
And you have your wonderful daughter with you today. So we have a mother and daughter duo. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? How did you come on board, Vanessa?
Well, to be honest, you kind of made me come on board. It started off, and I just remember I was being like forced to come to dancing because my mum didn't want me just in the house on my own because I was still quite young. And I don't know if it's because it was my mum who was telling me to go. It was kind of the rebellious, no. I was swinging on walls, being a nightmare.
Swinging on the monkey ropes at the back of the gym.
And it weren't until I actually, someone said to me, they was like, you're really good at dancing. And then when you're younger, your little ego kind of kicks in. You go, oh, am I? And then you kind of get more and more into it. And then the more I actually opened up to being involved in it, I just completely fell in love with it. And then you had a dance daughter, didn't you?
I had a dance daughter. I think it's been the business has been really organic and holistic in its approach. It's been really led by passion, and that passion, luckily, is fed through. Unfortunately, it's not fed through to my son, but it fed through to Ness, and we just sort of evolved from there. And the girls and the lads who coach for us as well, they're all athletes of Tycoon, and they're all in-house, so they're all trained in-house as well. So a bit like here, we've come here today and the staff are just, it's just the vibe is amazing and everybody's so supportive, and that's exactly sort of our ethos as well. With the coaches, we're not work colleagues, we're a small little unit really, that we're all together, we're all really passionate about.
I think that makes such a huge difference, doesn't it, in business? It's not just a job, very much in the Class4Kids office, yes, we come here to do a job, but actually it's so much more than that. We've got more to achieve, we work really well together, and you care about the people you come to work with.
That's the best thing, and you feel valued as well, you don't feel like you're unvalued with anything that you do. Well, we hope that's what we really strive for with our coaches, because they are amazing. And we're really lucky to have such a good team behind us, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And then tell me a little bit about, so we're very familiar with dance at Class4Kids, that's kind of one of our biggest activity markets, but there's this element of cheer to the business. So can you tell us a little bit about cheerleading and how that's a sport within its own right?
Well,
how much time do we have?
They were going to say, where's the soapbox? Because, a lot of people say it's not a sport, and it is such a sport. It's got gymnastics, it's got jump, it's got dance, and the cheerleading itself, we do competitive cheer, so it's not like standing on the sidelines and with your pom-poms. A lot of people think that cheerleading is shaking pom-poms, and it really isn't. It's a lot more than that. We have to work alongside, we compete, so we have to work alongside a score sheet. We have to hit certain marks, and then it's very, very highly competitive. So there's different elements that we have to hit on the score sheet. So there'll be standing tumbles and running tumbles, and then there'll be the creativity side of it and the technique side of it that are scored. And then you've got the stunt section, that's where they get thrown up in the air and they do all the fancy shove and twist.
That you at the back?
No, you've tried to get me into the cheer.
I tried and it just did not work.
No, dance through and through.
Yeah, definitely. And then you have the pyramid, which is a really big, the big section where you see lots of people gripping and things. And then there's a jump section, and then there's the dance section that we end with. So it's it's a 2-minute 30 routine of full out. And the athletes,
high intensity,
the elite athlete, they really, really have to be fit. We do a lot of conditioning and lots of fitness alongside of what we do, rather than just just the cheerleading. It really is a dedicated sport once you get into it.
I mean, we've seen a little bit of this, just for the listeners out there. Jane and Vanessa joined us for Friday stand-up at Class4Kids, where the team at Class4Kids here get together and have a drink, celebrate some of the things that happened in the week. And we've been doing some dance moves and some cheerleading. So can you tell us how the Class4Kids team did in that?
I thought they did incredible.
I thought my team won.
Nah, absolutely not.
No, honestly,
mine's more technique.
Really yeah. No, they were just so up for the laugh. Not one person was like, no, that's not my vibe. Everyone was so up for it, and it was just fun.
I have to say it was really good fun. I mean, it's very much out of my comfort zone, but you know, I was like, I'll do it. But the cheerleading gang, I mean, they were pretty good as well.
They were pretty good. They were good.
I think the song added to that though, didn't it?
We had the swag.
No, they're two separate entities. You know, I think a lot of people in our world, it's called All Star. So the word All Star means that it covers many different genres as well. So you've got cheerleading All Star, and then you've got lyrical All Star, pom All Star, and hip hop All Star. So there's sort of crossovers within sort of like the stunting and the tricks and the technique side. So it is what they call an All Star.
So is this different parts to your business then?
Yeah. So it's just like so obviously cheerleading's one genre within itself. But then dance, we do four different genres of dance. So we've got the hip hop side, which is probably accolade wise our most successful. I wouldn't say dance wise. I think like we're coming up strong with all our genres at the moment, but with that, as far as our accolades are concerned, I think hip hop's where we've probably strived the strongest with that.
And we cannot be in Scotland and not mention the Scottish pom teams because they're unbeatable.
Are they?
Yeah, there's something in the water up here with pom dance.
It's much fresher up here.
Honestly.
It's
they're
great.
Incredible.
And just the whole community within itself, it's only a small community, the All-Star community. So you'll find that even coming to here today, one of the girls owns a dance school and she was like, oh, I know Gold Star, you know, one of the girls comes here. It's so small and it's such a nice environment to be in, because even though you're competitive within other clubs and, you know, if down the road 30 minutes away, 4 hours away, you'll find that everyone's very supportive. It's a really nice atmosphere to come into, which is quite unusual for a competitive like sport in itself. But it's always like I think because everybody's grown within the industry together, everyone started off with it not being a big thing, so everyone's grown within their own rights into their own well-known names, their own well-known brands within the cheer world. Everyone's on the same page, everyone's on the same wavelength. Like everybody wants it for each other because we want it for the sport.
And do you think that's because cheer is a relatively new sport? I mean, you've talked about 17 years, so that doesn't sound new as in like it happened yesterday, but in terms of compared to football and dance, do you think that respect is because it's a newer sport?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you have your big dogs as well, the same as every other sport, which is nice, but I wouldn't say anybody walks around with the attitude of, you know, superior at all in any sense of the word.
We've got some real talent in across the country, really, and it showed that the event producers now, when they first started off probably about 20 odd years ago, they were starting off in like school gyms as small competitive, you know, event producers. These event producers like ICC and Future All-Star and Future Cheer and ICC, and BCA. They're like, and BCA, they're in really big arenas now, you know, and they've got international competitions. There's thousands of like cheerleaders that are there. I mean, I think Bournemouth's just taken over at the end of the season at the international one.
If you're not a part of the actual competition, you'll be walking around Bournemouth thinking, what's going
on?
Like, what on earth is happening?
Yeah,
like,
there's just cheer bowls everywhere. You can see that within the event producers, like the growth and the stadiums that we're now going to compete, as opposed to 10 years ago. They're just getting
it's almost
better
like
and better.
It's almost like the venues that are now like holding the competitions, they're upgrading the same as what the clubs are. It's like every part of the whole industry upgrading together. So the choreography is getting better. The athletes are getting like more talented at a younger age. The choreography is better. The competitions are better. Everything's growing at the same pace with each other, which is nice to see. It's almost like, I like to think of, do you know when Harry Potter started and it was really like light and airy, and then you grew up with it. It started to get darker and it started to get more like grown up, and you grew up with it. It's the same thing. It's the same.
It is.
It's the same situation where you're growing up within that industry from being like a kid, being at UKCA, and now going to internationals, going to worlds level. And when you go to Worlds, you see you know, it's a completely different world in itself because they've just been doing it for so much longer. But, you know, what's nice to see is the UK are coming up and they're coming up against the big dogs in America and they're beating them. And it's amazing to see.
So you're talking about there that the UK's kind of exploded in this area and actually it's worthy of competing with US market in terms of competitions. And I noticed on your website you've had quite a few competition wins, things like that. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got to there?
Yeah, quite a few accolades. How we got to there. Tears, sweat, hard work.
Our motto used to be hard work, sweat and tears. That is why we got so fierce. And I was like, you know, like these affirmations and mantras, I was like, we need to stop saying this because it is literally hard work, sweat and tears.
Yeah.
And so we did change the mantra for that reason. Yeah. But it has been a, you know, like I said, been very passion driven.
Yeah, I think what's always hard when you're successful within a anything you work, anything that you're on, people just expect that it's happened. They don't think, oh, you know, it's sacrifice. Like we've missed out on a lot of family occasions, we've missed out on a lot of friend occasions, just to make sure that, you know, there's not a lot in our area for kids. There's not a lot of opportunities. Well, there's a few opportunities, but there's not like opportunities to go and dance in America. Yeah. Do you know, to be able to actually like give that opportunity to someone, it's rewarding, but it comes with hard work. And the athletes that get it now, it comes a little bit easier. But the ones who first got that first world's bid that we ever did, and we got our first bid to America, it was a graft. It was an absolute graft. Yeah, it was a lot of losses, more losses than wins. You know, a lot of picking ourselves back up. But I genuinely feel like them losses made us, number one, humble. We had to work hard for it, and we understand that you need to put in that graft and that hard work. So I always say to my athletes now that are in my world teams, that like are in my American teams, I say, look guys, like people have paved the way for you to have this opportunity. And even though it's something that, you know, you've achieved this year, then people 5 years ago, they've still had a part in this bid that you've got. Like, it's every single person, every footpath that has come through this door has been a part of you reaching this journey. And that's what's there to remember. It's not just individual. It's not just I've got this here, and it's not just me as a coach saying I've got these athletes here by my choreography. That's not the case. The athletes have got them equally there with the talent and the hard work and the extra practices and the extra pushes, and, you know, my mum behind the scenes getting all the admin done, making sure that the, you know, the mindset of the teams are all good to go. And I
think it's the failures for me. Like a lot of people sort of you hear the word failure and or, you know, you've not won. You know, like we've got 28 teams across cheer and dance. We're not going to win at every single one. We've got grassroots, we've got different levels. And the more you go into the elite competitions, the harder it is to win because everybody's, you know, competing at a certain level. Yeah. And I think it's how you actually deal with those failures. And like Nessa said, you know, about the mindset, we've never been a team that's been like, so as soon as we've not got something, we're like, where's the score sheets? Where have we gone wrong? We're back in the gym. And it's like the driving force to get better. And that never goes away. Yeah. Even if we've won, it's like, okay, how do we improve on where we've come from? What do we learn from this? So we tend to look at things from a real sort of like learning perspective, and the drive just to be better and to bring something to the table that's special.
And would you say that filters down into your coaching sort of philosophy? Like, is that how you bring your coaches up and sort of mentor them and train them so that it then filters down to the kids?
100%, absolutely.
Yeah. It's, we were saying at the last competition, I'm stepping away from coaching as much now, and so I've stepped more into the role of developing the coaches, and we have an amazing team, and it's bizarre when you step back and you're like watching from the sidelines and you're watching the coaches with their teams doing like getting them before, doing like little TikTok dances, getting them in the mind frame, doing all the talks, doing the little hubs and everything that we've kind of like fell upon over the years. So like it was always like, Coach Jane, come in, do the inspirational speech before we go into warm up, and then do the talk, and now like Vanessa's there doing the talks, or there's other coaches who have got their little teams and they're doing the little inspo talks, and you think, wow, that's, it's kind of the mindset, isn't it?
And
Of
I think a lot of it as well is what I've found is you can't have an ego, because as soon as you let that ego like be your driving force to anything, you're going to stop, because if them judges give you feedback, you're not going to agree with it every single time. However, you've got to take it on board. As soon as that ego is bruised and, you're in a huff and you say to your team, well, I don't agree with them because this, that and the other, you're not creating a space for your athletes, number one, to, understand that you can't always win. Number two, respecting other people's opinions as well on top of it. And number three, right, okay, maybe, it might not be my necessary opinion, but let's have a read, let's see what they think, and then let's see how it can make us grow. Stepping out of your comfort zone as well and constantly growing, because like I said, the industry is constantly growing. We need to grow with it or you'll fall behind. You can't, if you watch the routine that we did, 10 years ago compared to now, it's like a different team. It's nothing like it. If you watch my world routine from last year to this year, it's completely different. I knew I'd shake it up a little bit because, everything's kind of merging into one, like styles are the same. And I was like, right, okay, so there's a niche in the all-star market. No one's really hitting that breaking score sheet. So, I've got an amazing guy in once a month called Dale, and, he's helping with popping and breaking, and because I can stand there and say, I can't give this to you guys because it's not something that I'm 100% with, and it's not something that I'm not going to stand here and be like, I'm the best, I'm the be-all and end-all of dance, I'm the be-all and end-all of hip-hop, I'm the best person to come to for this, that and the other. It's about, being grown up enough and, being realistic enough within yourself and your own coach's abilities to make sure that you go, right, I want the best for these athletes. I can't quite give them this. How can I make sure that, I'm finding ways to give them these opportunities that I can't quite give them? I'll join in the class with them. I'll learn as much as I can, but I'll get an expert in that field where, there's other things that, I excel in, different styles. You've got Sam, who's amazing at pom. You've got Tara, who's amazing at cheer. You've got Ryan, who's amazing at, the dance hall and the hip and the choreography. And you've got me, and I'm more like locking, popping, there's different styles within hip hop as well. But, the lyrical dancers, we've got a young girl, Ella Mulder, coming up. We've got Francis, who's just incredible with like the tiny athletes. We've got Meg, who's just day one. She's absolutely day one. She's an OG, and she's amazing. And with the kids, she's incredible. With the parents, they love her as well. She's got a really special bond when it comes to being with the parents, and she's having a baby now, and it's crazy. Everything's just growing.
It's the same, because we're quite unique in the fact that we run a cheer and a dance program, and we're successful in both. Like the hip hop's always took the lead on the accolades, and because we was a bit behind on the cheer, we was pom. We used to, when we first started, we used to do pom for 6 months, then hip hop for 6 months, street dance. Then it was street cheer, And then we decided we really broke out, and we did like 2 nights a week. We did street dance and we did pom dance. And then Vicky got a job in China and went to coach and be a teacher in China. So I was left with no coach. So I had no option but to step in.
Because there was none of us back in them days. There was this was when we started kind of growing, and we had like 30 athletes, and we was like, oh, we've got 30 athletes. This is amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then...
And I think like having the accolades now, we've been really working on the cheer side to get what they call a summit bid, which is like they have like high worlds. They only have like level 5 and 6, and we have levels 1, 2, 3. So it's like tiered with different skills that you go through
and different ages.
With different ages. And so the summit is almost like equivalent to a worlds, but for lower level cheer
and for younger athletes. So Worlds also only goes from junior to senior, where the summit goes from tiny all the way up to seniors. So it just gives the opportunity for the younger athletes to have a competitive
and we say lower
platform.
level cheer, we don't mean it. I kind of don't like that terminology because it makes it sound like it's lower level. I mean, the sport is hard from day one. Even at grassroots, the sport is hard. Little people are lifting little people.
Level 2, I always think you need to be the most creative in level 2 because everything is lower. When you level 2 I think is the one.
There's not one title we've not won in level 2.
I think it's the one where you need to like really get your brain ticking.
I love that.
So how important is it for you then to invest in the right people for your academy?
The thing for us, I think, is investing in the people that come to us, and then they become the coaches. So we we sort of invest in them, and then they'll give back, because they've generally experienced coming through the door as an athlete and then competing, so they know kind of, and they know the ethos of how we work. So training them like that and investing in them is really important. We do all the training, and we put all the coaches. We have a development scheme, so next year we're planning to have like a captaincy sort of training course, and then we do, at the present, we're running a young leaders course. From there it goes on to assistant coaches, and then it goes into like paid coaches role. So we have a full pathway, and like
we love a pathway.
We love a pathway.
We love a pathway.
But it's investing kind of right from the get-go and giving opportunities to people then that come along.
Yeah, and I think it's important as well, because like my mum said, like they can relate. Like everyone's problems are probably the same as everyone's problems. So if you've been an athlete, you're gonna have the same, upsets, hiccups as the next person. So just to have someone who can actually like get on board and relate and be like, listen, I've been there, like this is like how I dealt with it, this is what I do. Just having that like relationship overall. And you find that like I always think like a lot of coaches have like a certain age group that they're good with.
They definitely do.
And I think like it's just kind of, I don't know what it is, but I feel like they always kind of find the niche within the club in itself.
Yeah, definitely.
So then thinking about that, you're talked earlier in stand up about your brand and sort of investing in that. How would you say you categorize your values? What's important for you at your academy? So I had a look on the website earlier, and you talked about training athletes to follow their dreams, building confidence.
I think self-worth, self-belief, getting young girls and young lads even, we don't have loads of lads at our academy for some reason, but like anybody who walks through the doors for us, it's about them finding their voice, being able to communicate with team members and working as a team, because I find a lot with social media or like with the TV and everything these days, like we find that children don't interact probably like quite the same. So finding that respectful common ground when they might not be. But self-worth, self-belief, and really sort of building their self-esteem up, that's really the golden thread that runs through everything.
And like you, so many other people that we've had on the podcast, whether it's a football academy, a dance school, gymnastics club, they all talk about this. Yes, we do provide the class content, but actually our coaching skills go beyond just that. It's about building self-confidence, about making them understand how to build communication skills, like lifelong skills. And would you say that contributes to building a positive environment within your academy?
I genuinely think that you've got a responsibility when a child walks through your doors, because the parents are leaving the most precious commodity with you. They're leaving the child, and it generally is like, can I watch from the sidelines? Can I do, and it's their most precious commodity. And we really value is that people have chosen to bring their child to us, and we take a big responsibility on that, and we can have a really big impact on that person's growth as a human being, not just as an athlete and not just like learning a skill, but as a general human being. And that for me is the most positive thing, that one, a parent's entrusted you with their child. Two, that when that parent is really happy and they're seeing the growth. And we do have a lot of parents, if I had £1, I'd be really rich, for the time that they say, right, she's locked herself in a bedroom, and I've told her that like Coach Jane's going to come up, and I was like, don't use me as a threat.
I know. It's like using the police as a threat to the police wants Coach Jane.
Like so many times, isn't it? And we're very supportive with our families as well that come through that come through the door.
At the end of the day, we are working with teenagers, and it's not always an easy.
It's not always plain sailing with teenagers, is it?
Sailing, and I think that's what dance schools don't really speak about. Like, it's not always easy. Like, sometimes we'll come home from a session and we'll go, why are we doing this? you know, but
Yeah.
it's because we're passionate and, you know, it's just, it's a bad day, not a bad life. It's
Well,
not a bad
everybody
year.
has bad days, right?
Everyone
and
has
you
a
have
bad
to
day,
respect
yeah.
that as a teenager.
Yeah.
You don't know what's
Definitely.
going on. I mean, I think we talk a lot about in the
100%.
office, like what are kids facing these days? It's so much different. Even the COVID sort of pandemic children, there's
Yeah.
so much on the back of
think
that.
your
They've
phone's going
faced.
off.
It is going.
You know, everyone has bad days and you can't judge anyone off a bad day, and that's part of our job as well. And, you know, we're lucky enough that, you know, our athletes do speak to us about it, but, you know, it's nice to be realistic and go, you know, not every day is plain sailing, and not every day's a success. Like, you know, you'll go home and you'll go, this routine just isn't working, I'm gonna have to change it. It's not, you know, where the athlete's going to be annoyed that the routine's going to change, but then you've got to sit yourself back and go, no, you've got to be the big bad boss, because, you know, you want them to do the best that they can do, and we can either keep them at this, you know, routine that we know is not going to do well, or we can take them out the comfort zone, maybe give them a 2-week deadline and we'll change the routine to make it better. You've just done it with your summit routine, haven't you? You literally changed the routine, music, everything. But it's because you know it's not gonna do as well, and you're ready to push.
Tara's got two of the younger international teams, and the team that I've got, it's really special because I've had these girls since they were 11, and they're now coming up to 18. And the summit bid is the one thing that we was really working for, and we've had a lot of obstacles with like different things, and then COVID and not. So this was our last year to get the summit bid, and we got it. And I said to Tara, don't go changing any routines now. All you're doing now is cleaning. You're just cleaning. And then last night I came in and the girls were like, please, Jane, can we do this other music? And it was just so nostalgic to the thing that I was like, yeah. So we're like 10 weeks before like a major competition, and I've just literally rejigged the routine. And Tara was like, Coach Jane, I thought you said don't change any routines. We're not
Coach
changing
Jane,
anything. I was like, yeah, we're changing the full routine.
And so when the kids are asking and you're Coach Jane, you carry that reputation, you're like, I can change anything. Well, I very much hope that the future looks bright for you. I'm sure it does. Both of you have been great to have on the podcast. Thank you so much for coming from Manchester to Glasgow to visit Just Us, wasn't it? You just came out to visit us at ClassForKids.
And ClassForKids, I mean, you've been absolutely like tremendous.
Unreal.
Like your hospitality and your welcoming has just been, I mean, if I ever retire, I'm coming getting a job here.
You are welcome here, Coach Jane. That is it. You've heard it here first. Coach Jane is coming to ClassForKids.
Definitely.
Thank you both so much for coming on the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed, I believe, your first ever podcast that you've been on. Exclusive content here.
Yeah.
Best of luck for the future, and have a great time in Glasgow. Thank
you
you
so much.
Turns out Coach Jane and Vanessa are my new favourite.
They are very cool.
Even over you, my favourite. Did you see that cold stare there? That's something that you've never seen before. Well, if you're not watching the podcast, you wouldn't have seen it. But I tell you, the room just dropped about 10 degrees in temperature.
I have a really good I can speak with my eyes very well.
Yeah, you speak with your eyes open, I thought you were going to say.
No, I can speak. You can tell what I'm feeling.
Can you speak with your eyes open?
Like that. Yes. Coach Jane and Vanessa, just wow, the energy that they brought, their story, the things that they sort of spoke about on the podcast, the energy at stand up, and just all round lovely people, and just such a privilege to meet them and work with them.
And I'll give you a compliment now that I kind of took you down before, but very good interview. I had to step out for this one because, as you can see, we don't have the space. We don't have the space to accommodate anymore, and we've never really done. We've done one before, Josh and Jamie.
Yes.
But that's the second time we've done a 2-person interview, and you conducted it very well.
Thank you very much. And of course, what would it be without you directing from behind the camera and filming the podcast,
Yeah,
Stephen?
I was just sat.
But seriously, what a great interview, like hearing their story and all of the things that they have been doing, what they've got planned. And for me, I think it was more about, I didn't know the popularity of cheerleading in the UK. I know the US and there's sort of popularity there, but not within the UK as much.
No, there was a lot to learn, and from us who are really in touch with loads and loads of dance clubs, even for us, it was like a really eye-opening experience. What they do is almost like it's worldwide, because they are based in Manchester.
Based in Manchester, but compete across the UK. And of course, they told us that they're going out to compete in the US as well. And Vanessa, she's pretty much what would have been the Olympic standard team. And she was at a cheerleading competition for ESPN, and they were there. And I think she was caught on video, or there was some sort of thing within the news.
Oh yeah, do you know, I really liked so Vanessa obviously was the daughter, and then Coach Jane is the mother. And it was kind of flip-sided on, like, Coach Jane was the one that was all about TikTok.
Yeah, I
and
know.
totally like down with our social stuff and social strategies.
Do you know, I loved it at stand up when Coach Jane was talking about that, and she said such a mum thing, and it's mums always say the something. So it's like my mum used to say, "Oh, the COVID."
Did she say the TikTok?
She said the TikTok, and I just thought, you are just the cutest lady. I absolutely love you, Coach Jane. I'm really excited to watch their journey.
They're fairly new to the ClassForKids system as well.
They
They've been
are.
with us a couple of months, I think.
Yes.
But they were very complimentary immediately about how much it's changed their business and how much it's actually going to help them. I think there's a lot more of their other sides of the business they're going to start using the system with now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. It's always good to hear from our customers, not just a story, but how much the system is helping them, because that's the day to day.
Yeah, that's we're actually here to do that. We're not here just to do the podcast, although podcast is pretty much what we do. The people that we've got coming on the podcast this year is going to be outstanding.
Yeah, the time of recording, we're only on February the 6th.
Yep.
And we've got at least 4 months worth of podcasts kind of all queued up and going, which just means that we've got room to make far more and put more out this year than we did last year.
Lucky you, listeners, you get to hear more from Stephen and I.
Listeners and
oh
watchers
yeah, and
now.
the watchers now.
We need to come up with a name for the watchers, like the Always Sunny podcast. They'll call the watchers the creeps.
I mean, I don't really think I want to call our
No, I don't want to call
our
them the creeps, but the peeps.
The peeps.
The peepers.
Yeah, so the listeners and the
peepers.
peepers kind of has a bit of a negative connotation.
Okay, just peeps.
Yeah, the peeps.
Okay.
Hey peeps.
Hey peeps.
I think we should have a company trip to visit Coach Jane and Vanessa. Like, I'm talking to everybody on a bus, and
That
let's
might
go.
be a
and
good idea, because I think we're going to need a lot of us to interact. I mean, these cheer squads have got lots of people in them.
Yeah, I think it would be a good.
And I think we'd give them a run for their money from seeing what we've done on Friday. I think we're pretty much pro.
I think the dance squad for sure.
Again, it'll be on socials. I think you should do a vote thing, one of your votey things.
Oh yeah, poll.
A poll?
Yeah.
One of them.
Stephen
voting thing.
Stephen doesn't understand.
Put it on the Instagram.
Yeah, put it on the Instagram. I'll put it on the stories. But
Stories
yeah,
of
I
the
think
Instagram on the internet.
on the internet. Yeah, I think we should definitely do a trip down, visit Coach Jane and Vanessa, and find out what's happening in a couple of months and see where they are.
Well, let's make that so. So we're coming to see you very soon.
We're whether you want us or not.
Yeah, if
we're
you hear
coming.
that, yeah. You need to make some room.
Stephen and I are also making ourselves, what is it called, fairy godmothers that just grant wishes.
Yeah. Can I be a fairy godfather?
Yeah, we could be the fairy god podcasters.
The fairy god pod. And what we do is we just grant people's wishes.
Yes, that could be a new segment.
Guys, that's it.
Guys, what's your wishes? Let us know.
I think we should wrap this up.
I think we should wrap
We've
this
kind of
up.
gone a bit crazy off
Yeah,
thingy.
we've gone on a bit.
It's because this camera's here. We're
I
all
know.
like, ooh, now.
I know.
Okay, now people can see us do what we usually do.
Oh well, I think that would be a countdown.
That starts with
1, 2, 3.
Bye.
Bye.